We're going to pick up where we left off in the last video. Before we do that, I did a quick render just to show you guys what this looks like so far. I think it looks pretty good. It looks detailed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some brake components that go between the wheels, and maybe in the next couple of videos there's some pieces that connect to the leaf spring and the chassis. So we'll try to tie up this area a bit. So I'm going to hide this render. Let's go to left viewport, zoom in, layer manager, let's unhide the blueprints. Okay, what I want to do is maybe select one wheel, and let's select that blueprint. If it's frozen, you won't be able to select it. Just keep that in mind. Hide unselected. Okay, so the brakes are these, they're in the background here. They're like these long arms that have a pivot up top, pivot down the bottom, and then there's this little, almost like a little wedge that would push against the wheel and stop the train. So what we're going to do is going to come in here, going to go to create, want to go to geometry, MVH primitives. If you're on standard primitives, roll down to the bottom of the list, tube cap, and right here we're going to create the brakes. So let's drag out a tube cap and let go of your left button and inset a little bit, just like that. Okay, let's shrink down that outer radius a little, just like that. And let's go with 8 as the segments. Right click, convert to editable poly, and we'll grab a couple of edges here, just like that. And I'm going to shift and drag them down. Let's go down and we'll make them planar on the Y. And let's scale them inward. You might need to convert to a vertex selection. Let's come up to selection, hold down Control, click the vertex icon, R for scale, and just do that. That looks good. And just to speed this up, let's just grab this whole object, take it down here, copy it, let's mirror it along the Y, excuse me, just like that. And let's attach them to each other. Attach right there, go to vertex, sorry about that, F3 so we can see what we're doing, and let's just weld these. Probably going to do them in 3 operations. They may be kind of close, so if you did them at once it would go down to 1 vert, just like that. Let's grab this set of edges and this set of edges, Control Shift and E, we add a loop in there. That's just going to add a little tightness to everything later on. Going to grab the bottom selection of vertices, and we're just going to F3, just going to move them down a little bit, right to there, maybe back. Let's not do back, let's do this. Add a bend. There we go. And start playing with the angle value. Let's try X. It's not X, Y. Y will do it. First thing first, let's come over here. And down at the base level, the bend isn't reacting the way we want. So if we go to the base level, and we go to hierarchy, affect pivot only, center the object. It's because the pivot was down low. Now if we come back, let's delete that bend and just start with a new one. Okay, let's go to Y. That seemed to be working. I'm just going to give a little, just like that. Okay, I'm not unhappy with that. Let's collapse that down. Collapse 2. Okay. It's a little back further than the wheel, so it should roughly be back there. Well, not that far back. Let's pull it out to where the wheels are. Right around here, maybe midway through the wheel, just like that. That gives us the clearance we need. Back to the left viewport. And let's add a turbo smooth on top of this. 1, 2, 3 times hit T on your keyboard with the modifier list. There we go. I'm going to perspective again. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to elaborate on the detail of the model. So maybe let's do this. Select the set of polygons. Let's inset them. A little less than that, but that's exactly what I want. Okay. Let's invert the selection. Control and I. And let's do an extrusion. And let's right click that value, and then we'll just do something like that. So that's 1.1 inches. Let's see how that looks. and give 2 iterations on the Turbo Smooth. And that's kind of how these pieces look. They're different shapes and different references I've seen, but we're going to just take this now, and I'm going to let's grab this one and this one, these 2 polygons, and we're going to make a little bump that comes off that mounts that other part of the brake. We'll do an extrude, and we're going to pull it out a bit, just like that. Check for OK. And now we're going to take these 2 edges. Let's grab this edge. We'll zoom in a little bit. This edge right here, W, and we're going to move it down this way a little bit. Sorry about that. And I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to collapse them. Just like that. I'll do something similar at the other end. I think we may not collapse it this time. It might want a different effect. Let's move it around. Something like that. F4 off. Let's turn on Turbo Smooth. And that's kind of what we want. Just a little more detail in here maybe. So what we're going to do is take those 2 polygons. We'll do an inset, just like that. That's perfect. Extrude. Right click to zero out the value and go negative. Just like that. Check for OK. And let's see how this looks. Okay, not bad. F4. I'm going to grab these verts and just move them up a little. Looks like it was a little thin down there. Okay, that's not bad. On the back side, you'll see we have faces. Alt and Q to isolate that. I'm going to get rid of those. That's from the extrusion. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, now if you want to, we can come down here and we can probably do symmetry. And want to turn off slice along mirror and Z. F4 so we can see what's going on. Now you see that black artifact thing? That means that the center faces are a little too close to each other. So I'm going to first try to grab this mirror plane and move it and see if it rectifies it. And as you're doing this, you can toggle on wireframe on and off, and you can rotate it, and you'd see if there were artifacts there. And right now it looks like they're no longer here, so that's a good thing. Let's turn off the symmetry and the Turbo Smooth. And now let's tighten up the model a little bit. So we're going to come in here, ring at the bottom as well. Alt and R on that edge selection. We're going to use connect. And we're going to use 2 segments. And maybe a little bit of a pinch value out towards the edges to maintain that shape, just like that. And let's try this again. Up, symmetry, turn on, and turn on Turbo Smooth. And that's really good. So we're going to have a little pin that comes through here. We're going to have a brake assembly that pivots around this, and another pin area up here. So we're going to cover these holes, but they're there, and they're perfectly round, so we can use them for what we need. Let's just call this brake underscore arm dash 01. Okay, let's exit isolation and see how that looks. That looks pretty good. I think I want to bend it a little more later, but we can always decide on that later. So what we'll do now is we're going to make a little piece that covers this hole, this beautiful hole that we just made there, and we're going to make maybe some pins that go through like axle here, and wherever we have these openings we need like a little mechanical pin that goes through. So I'm going to pause the video and we'll pick that up in the next lesson.